financial elites are starting to turn on each other. The lawsuits are piling up fast, and it says here's an extensive roundup. And it goes into, it says, collapse roundup number 5, Goliath on the ropes, big banks getting hit hard. It's a bloodbath as Wall Street's crime blows up in their face. And they name several examples as the article goes on. It's really extensive at this point. But I think we're finally starting to see the elites' inner fighting, which has been talked about so much, Bob.
Well, they recently went after Blankfein, who's the head of Goldman Sachs, and they probably are the worst violators of the law. But J.P. Morgan, HSBC, Citigroup, they come in a close second. And, this stuff has been going on for years. Really incredible. Just look at the Madoff affair. They all knew about it, and so did the SEC. And why they covered it up for so long, I don't know. They had a gentleman there a number of times telling him, look, this is what he's doing, this is how he's doing it, and why don't you stop him? I mean, that went on for 10 years. And then you had the the packaging, the securitization of bonds which contained mortgages which were rated by S&P, Moody's, and Fitch. All of the ratings were bogus. AAA paper that was really triple B, and that's the difference between a 10 and a 4. And the court says, as far as the rating services are concerned, well, it was an opinion. Didn't they ever hear of the word conspiracy? I mean, these people got together on Wall Street, and those three rating services are all captive. I mean, I know a lot about that, and I know somebody used to run one of the companies, and what they do is extort companies. They go in and they'll write a report on the company, and they'll bring it to them, and they'll say, well, this is what it cost. And the company will say, well, no, I don't want that. And they say, okay. And they write another report, which is very damaging to the company, and publish it. This has been going on for years. And they work hand in glove with the banks and the brokerage firms. And so that just two, but big instances that everybody knows about. But there's thousands and thousands and thousands of things that have been done that have never been pursued or adjudicated. I mean, the SEC is totally complicit in this, and they have been for years. Their main function was to put small companies out of business, brokerage firms, and brokers. And they've even harassed newsletter writers. We had a landmark decision in 1995 regarding, was it 85? 1985, regarding what people had to say in newsletters. And they contend, the SEC, that the people who are writing the letters are under the jurisdiction, and they're not. And you can say anything you want, but they still will pursue people, and the people don't have the money to defend themselves. And the SEC has an endless amount of money.
Right.
And so this kind of thing has been going on for a long time. And are they eating each other up? Well, yeah, that's good. I mean, they're a bunch of crooks. I mean, there's very few people.
Much worse than that, Bob.
What's that?
I said they're much worse than that. That's a kind word you're using.
Well, I was very outspoken when I had my brokerage firm. And starting in 1967, I was harassed not only by the SEC, and at that time the NASD, which is now FINRA. But I get audited 15 years in a row. And, of course, they can't do that, but they did it anyway. And because I never was found owing any tax any year. But my attorney fees and accounting fees ran anywhere between $100,000 and $250,000 a year, because I had an extensive filing and I made a lot of money, and so consequently I was a victim. So I know what it's all about. This is what happens when you're outspoken and you tell the government that they're wrong, or they're a bunch of crooks or criminals or whatever it is. And they have pursued me for years.
Well, Bob, I mean, who gives the authority for these people to audit the way they do without any laws? Is my question.
Politicians, usually. And it happens in both parties. And I get more harassment from Republicans than Democrats. Practically virtually none from Democrats. It was all Republicans. And I had, I forget what it was, but they pursued me for something I didn't do. And so the attorney says, well, you know, we can stop all this. And how do you do that? And they say, well, we just pay them off and shut them up. I had to do that 1 year.
That must have burned you up, because I know it would have burned me up. I couldn't stand. I just can't stand criminality at any level, Bob.
You have no idea how far they went. This is the government. They just use the SEC. They just happen to be involved in it because I happen to own a brokerage firm. But not at that time, but later on. But that's what I went through.
Jesus. Bob, can I ask you a question? And I don't know how many people are aware of this, but I wanted to touch a little bit on the ETFs, the electronically traded funds of the gold and silver certificates. Now, I've heard you say this before, but I've got to just hear it again, because if this is true, this is just unbelievable, that the ETFs are leveraged 100 to 1?
No, I don't know of any that are, but some of them are legally leveraged, 2 to 1, 4 to 1, whatever it is, usually lower numbers. And the two in particular I contend with, which is the gold and silver ETFs, GLD and SLV, I do not believe that they have the gold and silver that they say they have. And in the case of SLV, which is silver, they, for years, have been using options and futures and derivatives to make up what they're supposed to be holding in physical silver. But it says right in their contract they can do that. So are they doing it? Of course they are. But GLD is doing it in indifference to their contract. And they just don't have what they say they have. And you can't get an independent audit. They say they have one, but they don't. And I won't recommend them. Never have. I don't care how much money they make. Because they're in cahoots with the CME, which owns COMEX, the exchange for commodities. And very often when you call for delivery in silver and gold, what they'll do is they'll pay you in shares from SLV and GLD. Now, if you have enough demand, you can get delivery, but very few people do it, because the amount is in the billions of dollars. And so what happens on the COMEX is that instead of taking delivery, people take the stock. And I don't know what deal is that they work out, but obviously there's an advantage to it. They usually pay them a premium. It runs around 25 or 30%. And sometimes the premiums are much higher. They know, other professionals know how to make them pay a higher premium. I saw one premium of 70%. Others are high. Just not to take delivery, usually of silver. And the reason why is that they don't have enough to make delivery. And people who trade, who want to take delivery on the COMEX, if they insist on taking delivery, which is a problem, they get a lot of harassment. And if they continue to do it, they'll find a way to get rid of them.
And
that's been going on ever since the inception.
I'm sorry, Bob.
See, if there's a fail to deliver, particularly on silver, and people demand their silver, and they will not accept the delivery of SLV, the ETF, then there could be a force majeure. And what that means is, I can't deliver. And what the exchange does is they middle a contract. And what they mean is, if let's say that hypothetically the contract's worth $1,000, and they can't deliver, what they'll do, the exchange will set an amount of money to be paid in lieu of the delivery of the silver. But once that starts, what happens is that word gets around that they can't deliver, and people stop doing business with them. But there's all kinds of chicanery going on in the COMEX and the LBMA in London as well. And the CFTC, Commodity Futures Trading Commission, they're supposed to be regulating it like the SEC does the stocks. And they're not. They had an investigation for almost 5 years regarding the cornering of the silver market. Who's the culprit? Well, the main one is J.P. Morgan Chase. Well, who are they? Well, they're a very large bank, and they are the largest shareholder in the Federal Reserve. So they can do anything they want. And one of the members of that panel or group or whatever it's called that oversees this, and these people are appointed, one of them says if they don't do something about the investigation, then what I'm going to do is speak out about what they're doing. And that's on September, I think it's the 23rd of this month. So we'll see what happens.
Right.
I mean, this guy's playing with fire, who's willing to do this. They're liable to kill him. I mean, these people play hardball. Right.
Well, my question is, Bob, though, I mean, in talking about these ETFs, is that if people start demanding delivery and they've caught on to the game and they say, no, I want physical delivery, and there's enough people, I mean, that whole game is just going to crumble right underneath their feet.
There's a problem. Those who take delivery, it's for a very large amount of money. I can't remember how much, but it could be 10 million or 100 million. It's very large. So you can't really get delivery. It's really a total paper market, even though they say they're holding the silver and gold. They may be, but I don't think so. I don't think these ever have had more than 30% in physical, ready for delivery.
So everybody's paid off in paper, more or less. And if somebody demands delivery, then they're either going to get, if they get in the way, they're going to be eliminated or just taken out of the picture in some way.
And that's true.
You know, it's so disturbing. I mean, that the corruption.
Well, how about me? I was in that business for 39 years. 39 years. And I watched this stuff go on. They didn't do these things then. I mean, I was in the business in 1989, and they just didn't do that. I mean, they did all kinds of other things. But now it's in your face. They don't care. And anybody that speaks out about it, they're going to destroy them one way or the other.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. What, I mean, to your best of your knowledge, I mean, when did all this start? And who started it? That's the real question. Well, who started it?
I don't know about who, but I used to complain loudly to the FCC in the early 1980s about naked shorting. And they wouldn't do anything about it, and they still haven't. Now, right now I know for sure there's in excess of 2,000 complaints with the Securities Exchange Commission regarding naked shorting. And what that is your better stock's going to go down. But when you do that, you have to be able to borrow the stock so that you can go short. Well, they don't borrow the stock. And that's against the rules. Well, it's got to be an enormous problem, because what these hedge funds and trading houses do, they'll naked short and drive the company out of business. Now, there's a case I know of going on right now, and the complaints been filed, and the SEC supposedly is pursuing it. In time, we'll find out if that's so. They say they are. And they have all the evidence because the company gave it to them. And the person who runs the company had been in a brokerage firm and a trader for many years. So he knows how the game works. And if the SEC does not bring some kind of action against the naked shorts, what's going to happen is the SEC is going to end up getting sued. But that's the extent that you would have to go to get any, response. They're not doing anything, and their excuses, well, we don't have enough help. We don't have enough money. Give me a break. I mean, Mary Shapiro just got $30 million for leaving a job and then going over and running FINRA. And she gets paid some obscene amount of money every year. And she was responsible for the destructions of all the records in all the most difficult, how would I put it, criminal cases that were never referred to the Justice Department. And Madoff was one of them, and all the records were gone. They sliced and diced them and got rid of them.
Jesus.
And that's a matter of record. That just was exposed by a whistleblower in the SEC.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, Bob.
About a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yes, absolutely. And he's still being ignored, by the way.
Yeah. They do anything they want. It's a cabal of criminals ripping off the public in conjunction with the Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve, the SEC and the CFTC. And who is running the executive order? The President's Working Group of Financial Markets. It's simple. It's the same people. And they rig every market, every day, 24/7. And that's a fact.
Yeah, you're right.
In fact,
it is a fact.
Somebody was meeting in Miami, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, with Ron Paul at one of their meetings, and he asked this guy to ask me what he thought was the most important thing to pursue. And I said, beside getting rid of the Federal Reserve, would be getting rid of that executive order, the President's Working Group in Financial Markets. I mean, there's no free market. They do anything they want. I mean, just today, the market was down almost $300. And they moved in and moved it right back up to minus 100. You can see them in the market doing it. I was a trader for 25 years. I know the action. Every trader does.
But, the people are no more awake than others, Bob, and that's the problem, is the sheeple who are still asleep who think that we have a free market. I mean, gold took a dip today. I think it was 26.70. It was just a slight dip, and I think it's a good buy in right now because it's not going to be dropping below 18 anymore. At least this is the way I'm seeing it from the market fluctuations that's been taking place with now the last 3 weeks.
Well, everybody is always guessing. And some people are better than others. It's just like economists. You have to know how far you can go in projections. Because with economists and analysts, if you go too far, you lose your job. So there's a great deal of coercion there. So you never see the negativity. It's all hidden. Again, they do what they want to do.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling to me to even understand how they have the goal to perpetrate such a enormous hoax on the people worldwide, because these markets are worldwide and everybody is affected around the world, but mostly Europe and the United States because they're close trading partners. The thing is that when we have, this is a very particular question, when we have these dips in gold, is it a buy-off? Is it a short in the market? Because it's so hard to tell when you're reading umpteen articles and getting pulled 10 different ways. And this is my problem, trying to read into how this is being played out.
Well, what you've got to do is discern who you're listening to. There are many people out there who say this, that, and the other thing about something, and they have no qualification to do so. And even if they do, very often, it doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work is that they just aren't competent at what they do. But people who have not been trained, as an example, in projecting economic activity or analyzing, you have to be a professional to do that, and it doesn't mean you're going to be right. But people who are not professionals, they have an opinion, but that doesn't mean it's worth anything. I mean, I see it every day.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right, Bob. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you have that guy, what's his name, on MSNBC, the little guy, the bald guy, I can't remember his name, right? Kramer, touting all these stocks off, and now all of a sudden he's gotten on the gold bandwagon like he's, the next best thing since sliced bread, and people follow this guy, and I think he has no clue what he's talking about.
Well, let me put it this way. He's entertainment and he's a show. That's basically what it amounts to. And he's not stupid. He's smart. He's been on the insides of the market. But he tells you what the people of CNBC want him to tell you. entertainment. Pure and simple.
And people
they do have
actually
people
buy into entertainment. That's the crazy part to me. You're going to trust your hard-earned money into someone who's just spouting entertainment is beyond belief to me, Bob.
It happens every day. Every day. Bloomberg does the same thing. I watch them both every day.
And that's the thing.
The garbage that comes out is so bad. What I do is I turn the volume off and look at the numbers. And I keep track of what goes on, watching the action, so to speak. And I can tell when things are going to happen. It's an art form. It has nothing to do with a slide rule or algebra or anything like that. It's professional experience. It can't be replaced. I'll give you a good example. Last week, week before last, they hit gold 3 days in a row, knocked it down $200. Well, on the second day, I said, tomorrow morning, gold hit $1,700. And what you do is go in with both hands and buy all you can. Gold, silver, futures, shares, whatever it is that you like to do. And I said, in another 5 days, the market will turn around and be back where it was 3 days ago. It happened exactly that way. I think I was off by $13 out of 200.
You're usually right on about everything that you say, Bob. And I've been following you a long time. And believe me, I'm no expert on economics whatsoever. But a rose by any other name is still a rose, and you follow the people who knows what that rose smells like. I've gotten a lot of questions about the gold stocks and when they're going to really take off, leap out of themselves more or less.
Well, you have a few factors here. Number one, they're selling at about 30 times earnings. Those are the producers. And the average stock, I think, is around 22 times, 23 times earnings. The average in 1978 is, and we're kind of at that stage as a parallel, was 150 times earnings. So the question is why are they lagging this way? Well, the gold and silver share market is very small. And just to give an example, you could take any one of 10 major companies, and their total worth is more. We'll take Apple, good example, General Electric, Coca-Cola. Their net action, their assets, are worth more than all of the gold silver stocks combined together.
And they pay no taxes to top it off.
Well, many of them don't. The point here being is a very easy market to manipulate. You can do that if you're the U.S. government and you're the President's Working Group of Financial Markets.
Bob, I don't want to cut you
So
off.
they pick up the phone and they call the major firms on Wall Street, either the Treasury Department or the Federal Reserve, it's usually the Fed. And they say, look, today we're going to knock the gold stocks down about 5%. And do you have the money to do it? And they say, yeah, we got it. And so
Bob,
they do it.
Can you hold that thought for a minute? We're coming into a break. I want to pick right up after the break. This is The Whole Agenda. I'm your host, Robert Pepino, and we're Bob Chapman. We'll be right back after the break.
Okay, I want to address the skeptics listening to talk radio. You hear multiple commercials on products that make you feel better and help you lose weight, but you don't believe it. Companies come and go. People I understand. You really are desiring a product that works, but you're tired of getting burned with substandard quality, gimmicks, 3 to 6 month get-involved contracts. Life Change Tea is different. I speak for Life Change Tea because I lost 25 pounds, lowered my blood pressure, and blood sugar levels. I sleep well at night, knowing Life Change Tea customers are receiving real product that works, customer service, and customer satisfaction. So here's my spiel. Test us, try us, and receive results. And if you don't try us, that's okay. And if you do, you'll be a happy tea customer getting healthy. So order now. Call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. Or you can log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. In my opinion, you won't be sorry.
Protect your freedoms and be independent by learning how to maintain, repair, and customize your own firearms through these exclusive video training courses on DVD from the American Gunsmithing Institute. Call and get a free 2-hour sampler DVD video and catalog. See just how quickly and easily you can learn firearm disassembly and reassembly, accurizing, customizing, super tuning, refinishing, trigger repair, and much, much more for rifles, pistols, and shotguns. Courses available for both the hobbyist and the professional. You can even get certified as a gunsmith and make money part-time, full-time, or as a retirement income doing what you love. Call 1-800-247-5032 to order your free sampler DVD and catalog. That's 1-800-247-5032. Call now and get a bonus $10 saving coupon. 1-800-247-5032 or go to AmericanGunsmithDVD.com. Learn how. Learn now with AmericanGunsmithDVD.com, your source for how-to gunsmithing videos.
Regardless of the dollar price involved, 1 ounce of gold would purchase a good quality man's suit at the conclusion of the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, presidency of Franklin Roosevelt, and today. You may not be in the market for a suit, but you don't know what the future may bring. Gold is the one financial constant the world has ever known. It can always provide you with your basic needs. Whether you're looking for junk silver, old silver dollar rolls, gold bullion, or fractional tradable gold pieces, Kettle Moraine is your full-service representative with over 50 years of knowledge and personal experience. Visit FlyingEagleGold.com or call us at 623-327-1778 today for competitive prices on all your gold or silver needs. If you're looking for real financial insurance, call Kettle Moraine today at 623-327-1778. That's Kettle Moraine, 623-327-1778.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to The Whole Agenda. I'm your host, Robert Pepino, and we have Bob Chapman of the International Forecaster. And Bob was just getting into the fact of the gold mining stocks, why they haven't taken off yet. Bob, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we do have to take these breaks from time to time. Please pick it up where you left off.
So what the government has been doing, and you're not going to be able to prove this because they're not going to let you. Well, what they've been doing in conjunction with the Federal Reserve is they've been manipulating the stocks. And they do it through naked shorting, and they do it in a good part through the hedge funds all over the world. And that way, the government can stand aside and say, no, if they're, say, under oath asked, they can say no, because they're covered by this executive order. So they do what they want to do. And that's why the gold shares have been subdued. I know that the ETFs have taken a lot of business, and the reason why is that major brokerage firms have been told, they'll make markets in these stocks, but they've been told not to recommend them. Use the ETFs. Well, the ETFs were created by people within and behind government. And so they were created to control the amount of gold and silver that's purchased. In other words, there are people, mostly professionally, who would like to own gold or silver, but they don't want to go through the rigmarole of taking delivery or have it held at some storage depot someplace. So it's much easier and cleaner for them to go in and buy the ETFs, SOV and GLD. The problem is that as far as the whole market's concerned, they're not buying the actual metal. People are just giving them a contract, say a derivative, and they just keep on rolling it. And when you get into the brokerage firms itself, like Merrill Lynch is a good example, they tell their clients, and I know this because my subscribers tell me, we won't sell you those stocks. You'll have to do it someplace else. You know, these are shares of gold mining companies. I mean, good ones, not small companies. And that's what they tell them. And this has been going on for a long time. So there's constructive prohibition within the larger firms in the industry to keep people from buying those stocks. I mean, when I did it for 29 years, I was only tolerated. They thought it was an oddity. They used to call me Goldie. And nobody had the interest in what I was doing. But I was one of maybe 5 or 10 brokers in the entire country who had an interest in that area. And so it was pretty limited. They didn't have much to put up with. But they do instruct their salesmen to not take orders and to use the ETFs. And that diverts business away. So it's a combination of things as to why the gold and silver shares haven't done well.
But that's outright fraud. I mean, that's literally outright fraud. Of course it is.
They do anything they want. Anything.
Yeah, Bob, where does this all end? I mean, I just try and wrap my head around this every single day. I mean, I've got to come from all angles.
Let's say you're a broker, and the broker well, let's put it another way. The prohibition is there. It's just trying to prove it, and that's not easy. And even when people are harassed, what happens is that the government does what they feel like doing because people got to defend themselves. Most of them are civil suits. And that costs a lot of money.
Yeah, and most people don't have that kind of money to put out in any kind of civil suit, let alone trying to fight Wall Street and the government.
These people are so insidious. It is almost beyond belief.
Well, you know, Bob, I mean, I've heard some outrageous, atrocious stories which have pretty much come to fact that, yes, they were true. But when you have these illuminists printing up money at will to enslave people into their control, their mind control, and we, as awake human beings, all understand what's going on. At one point, my friend, there has to be a change. There has to be an uprising. I mean, what we've seen in the Middle East, I think, is just the beginning. I mean, thank God we still have our Second Amendment right in this country, because if we didn't have that, this country would have went the way of the dodo, just like Argentina, probably 10 years ago.
Well, it's well on its way to getting there now, and it's been done deliberately.
I know it's been done deliberately because they want this country to fail. They've exported all our jobs. They've exported all the industry. We're buying back our own product that these companies used to produce here, and the American people used to earn a decent living, now has been all shipped out to China, Mexico, India, where they're paying slave wages to re-import the product that we used to make. Bob, it's the point of ridiculousness now.
And you're right, that's true. And I talk about it, and I talk about legislation to end free trade globalization, which would be tariffs on goods and services, including the manipulation of currencies. And they will not touch it in Congress because they're paid not to. 90 to 95% of them are paid off.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you were going to hold any cash at all, what would it be? In what denomination? In what currency?
Well, if you live in the United States, you want to have dollars, no matter how bad they are. Ones, fives, tens, and 20s for emergencies. I mean, anything can happen. It hasn't lately, but it could. During early 1930s, the president said, you can only withdraw 5% of your deposits from the bank. I think it was quarterly. And maybe it was annually, I don't know. I can't remember. But I do know that they did that. And suppose they do that again. Well, you don't have any cash. Can't use your credit or debit card. What the heck do you do?
Right. Well, then I want to ask you this, because I've been contemplating this because I explained to you my situation on the first show, but I'm thinking about getting a $5,000 bag of junk silver just to keep as an emergency. And I'm thinking that's a pretty good idea right now because I just can't afford gold at this point in my life.
That's fine. So that's what you do. At least you have something.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what it is. It's a medium of exchange.
But how willing are people going to be at your local grocer, or your local gas station, or your local any market? Because you have ignorant clerks working these registers who know nothing of what we're talking about. We are the 3%er, Bob. The rest of the 90% sheeple are completely asleep. So how are you going to actually be able to use that money when they're actually looking for paper dollars, and you say, no, this is silver, this is worth much more than that piece of paper you're holding in your hand? This is my dilemma that I keep going through in my mind. How is that conversion going to take place?
You won't know until you get there, but more people will know than you think. And I have a question. If you can't or don't want to use gold and silver, what do you use if the currency is unacceptable?
Well, I would say you would barter with tangible items, right?
Well, you could, but that's very cumbersome. I mean, you might have a battery, and somebody's willing to exchange it for a bushel basket of green beans. And then you have to take the green beans and see if people who own squash are willing to take green beans to squash, and on and on and on.
Right.
And that can be done. I mean, I've seen black markets of them right in the middle of them. And actually, they're wonderful things because they function so well. And
yes, you're right.
There's a set way of doing business, but that sort of thing is expedited by having gold and silver coins.
Yes.
And it has happened many, many times in the past with currencies. Not in recent times, but it has.
Well, and you are right, because it has happened many times in the past. Yes, not in recent times, not in any of our lifetimes, but yes, it's happened globally where the currencies have collapsed. We've seen it in Argentina, we've seen it in Iceland, and many other countries. And they've worked through the issues. But the problem is that the central banks are still at the forefront of these collapses and recoveries. And this is what has to be eliminated. Because this is what I've been touting this whole time, and I've been talking to my friends. I said, if we do not eliminate the central banks, we will continue to go through these booms and busts that they create that trickles down through their mega corporations into the states, local governments, and local businesses. And everybody has such a hard time wrapping their heads around that. I'm saying, look, the people who create this are the ones who control everything. You don't know their names. Yeah, of course, we know the Rothschilds, we know the Warburgs, we know the J.P. Morgans, because they've been out in the forefront of all this. But the people behind them are the ones who control everything. And that's the thing that needs to be eliminated in us to be a free society, to be out of this debt slavery system.
Well, I don't think you'll have any trouble finding the people who give the orders behind the scenes, because the people who are approached, who have been the instrument of doing these things, Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan, they'll very quickly tell you, who they've been working with, just to, protect themselves.
Do you think that
so they'll all get rolled?
Do you think that would really help them in the end? I mean, literally, and I'm talking the physical, saving their own physical life. Do you think that would really matter when a common man has had everything taken away from him and realizes that the bankster cartel are the ones who have done this? I mean, I just don't think there's any salvation for most of them, because they're so deep into the situation they created. They have to. It's like a liar who has to invent bigger and bigger lies in order to convince other people that the lies he's telling are the truth.
Well, there's ways to handle that.
Yeah, well, my 9mm says it knows how to handle it, especially for protection of myself and my family.
And that'll work. Although I recommend larger calibers.
Well, Bob, I do have my SK 7.62 by 39. It's very poignant.
Yeah, you have to have larger calibers, and that's important. And I've had experiences with that.
Well, I know you were with Army counterintelligence, Bob, and I know you had quite a few experiences. I've heard your stories.
Yeah, but a 45 or a 357 or a 40 caliber, they put people down. And yes, they're heavier, and yes, they have more kick, and yes, they're more difficult to shoot. But try shooting somebody 6 or 7 times with a 32 or 38 or a 9mm, and they keep on coming. It's very unsettling.
Yeah. Well, I can say I'm blessed that I've never had that opportunity, and I hope I never have to face that opportunity. But, when people are starving in the streets, they will become animals. And that's the unfortunate part of that 90%er I've been talking about for so long, that they're going to find themselves totally unaware in a situation where they're going to be like a wild animal startled from their den. And that's what I fear the most, because that could be your next door neighbor. That could have been my customer who walked through the door last week. That could be anybody. And that's what disturbs me more than anything, because in general, I think for the most part, human beings are logical, caring, kind beings who want the best for themselves, their family, and their friends. But when desperation falls in, they turn completely the other way. And that's what I fear more than anything else.
Well, it's a well-founded fear. And, you know, when you're dealing with 310 million people or whatever it is in the country, and you think law enforcement is going to protect you, forget about it. There's only 500,000 of them in the country.
And you know what? You're absolutely right, because I've had conversations with law enforcement officers. I said, you guys realize what's going on. And a few of them were clueless, but there were a few who said, yes, we know exactly what's going on. And I asked them a question, and this really bothered me, Bob. I said, what is the biggest fatality that you're seeing? Now, this is strictly in Arizona, okay? It's not the other states, but just here. He said, what is the biggest fatalities you're seeing? And they're saying suicide. People are killing themselves and their family because they don't have any means to take care of them.
And that's true. And I read the newspaper in Phoenix every day. I mean, I can't believe the things I see go on there. And other major cities are the same. I was on a program in New York about a week ago, and I think the comment was 31 people have been murdered this week in New York City. I mean, it's astounding.
And yet
so,
nobody...
You know, the possibility of those things happening are large in large cities. I can't believe the crime and the heinous types of crimes, like 85-year-old man molests 2 13-year-old girls. I mean, that's unbelievable.
I heard the same story, Bob.
If it said 35-year-old man molests 2 13-year-old girls, I can understand why some crazed individual would do that at that age. But then, you know, the next story is man comes home, shoots his 2 children and his wife, and commits suicide. That's what they're talking about. It happens every day.
I know. But it's getting worse by the minute. That's the problem. It's getting worse by the minute because I can see it. I mean, I'll pull into a convenience store, Bob, and this was rare. This was really rare back in the 80s when we were still coming out of the Depression, early 80s into the late 80s, and then of course we went back into the Depression. But I don't want to tell anybody that we've been in depression since World War II because they don't want to hear that. But you and I both know that. But excuse me. I'm seeing more people looking for handouts in front of convenience stores than I've ever seen. Right now, to date, I've never seen as many people. I'm always approached almost on a daily basis. When I stop in, I have to get gas, or I do smoke, so I get a pack of cigarettes or whatnot. And this is more and more and more. And I'm looking at myself, and then I've seen all these videos of these young people who have no jobs, no education, come in as flash mobs, raid these convenience stores or these retail stores, and they come in as a gang. They grab everything they can and walk out. And I think that's just the beginning of what we're really going to see happen in this country.
Well, I think you're right. And, as the economy degenerates, there's a possibility here that we may see banks starting to lend more, which would cut back on unemployment. And but I don't see them doing any more than perhaps $500 billion, and that's not a lot of money today.
Right.
And so,
I don't want to cut you off, but last time we got cut off by the music. I want everybody to get your information cleanly and clearly before the music kicks in.
Okay. Well, the International Forecaster is about business, finance, economic, social, and political issues all over the world. We publish on Wednesday and Saturday by email, runs around 40 pages each time. And we have a hard copy that goes out twice a month for those who are not on the Internet. And everything you need to know each week is in that publication. The Forecaster, you can get a copy of either by going to theinternationalforecaster.com, theinternational, FORECASTER.com. You can also go to www.intforecaster.com, intforecaster.com. For those of you who would like a question answered, and we answer everyone, or you'd like a copy of either, or you'd like a copy of our recent gold and silver share recommendations, you can email us at Bob, B-O-B, at intforecaster.com. That's Bob at intforecaster.com. You can also call toll-free 877-479-8178. 877-479-8178. You get a free introductory copy of either there, and if you'd like to be a subscriber, you can get a free 1-year subscription. They're making an offer there, and if you want to be a subscriber, you should take advantage of it, because the offer is really terrific.
Absolutely, and on my website you can find Bob's International Forecaster in our...
Okay, I want to address the skeptics listening to talk radio. You hear multiple commercials on products that make you feel better and help you lose weight, but you don't believe it. Companies come and go. People, I understand. You really are desiring a product that works, but you're tired of getting burned with substandard quality, gimmicks, 3 to 6 month get-involved contracts. Life Change Tea is different. I speak for Life Change Tea because I lost 25 pounds, lowered my blood pressure, and blood sugar levels. I sleep well at night, knowing Life Change Tea customers are receiving a real product that works, customer service, and customer satisfaction. So here's my spiel. Test us, try us, and receive results. And if you don't try us, that's okay. And if you do, you'll be a happy tea customer getting healthy. So order now. Call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. Or you can log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. In my opinion, you won't be sorry.
Good evening, everyone. This is Paul Landers with the Whole Agenda Radio Show, broadcasting live on the Micro Effect Network. Market update, Dow, 11,139.30 cents. That was down $100.96. NASDAQ closed at 2473.83 cents, down $6.50. S&P 500 was at 1165.24. That was down $8.73. Oil up 39 cents, closing at 86.41. Gold down $24.70, closing at 1873.60. Silver also down 91 cents, closing at 41.96 cents. Today's gold-silver ratio 44.68. Okay, word of the day. Stock market. Career trajectory. It's a career path marked by increasing amounts of tragedy, lameness, futility, ineptitude, respect, loss of pay. Fixed career trajectory.